everybody? Welcome back. It's been a little while. So originally there was a video I posted where I told you guys that I was going to be posting a video on Tuesday or Monday after the Patriots game. And I went back on that, and I'm going to be posting this on Wednesday. It's Tuesday night, late. And the reason I'm going back on it and I'm doing it a little later is because I feel like if I make a video right after the game, I'm kind of I'm talking about these things with my emotions, not necessarily with my brain. Like, I'm all excited after a game, you know, I'm all happy because the Patriots just won and this happened and this happened. And I want to give you guys a true and honest opinion, of what I think. And if I give myself time to let these thoughts settle, I feel like I will have a more honest and level-headed opinion. So after a game, I'm all hyped up and I'm so excited, and I'm more likely to say Jimmy Garoppolo is the best quarterback ever than I am 2 days later, or almost 3 days later, whatever you want to say, when I've let things settle in and I've kind of gotten off that buzz, off that high in a sense, from the win. I'm straight edge. I don't do anything. Don't worry about that. So let's get right into it. That's the reason I'm posting this a little bit late. You guys will be seeing this on Wednesday. But we're gonna get right into it. Patriots won the game. The Patriots beat the Cardinals, and if you saw if you read my article, you see that I predicted that they would lose, and that prediction came before they announced Gronk was out. So I thought there was no chance they're gonna win this game, to be completely honest, and they shouldn't have won this game from the Cardinals standpoint. I had so much more faith in Bruce Arians as a coach to be able to prepare himself, but he's not Bill Belichick, and that's really what it came down to. Bill Belichick came prepared to win the game, and that's exactly what happened. So first thing first, Jimmy Garoppolo. Holy smokes. I think the boy, that man, I swear, he's something. I really do. I think he's special. I think he's got it. We'll get into that later, but 24 for 33, 264 yards, touchdown, no interceptions, and a fumble. One of my keys to the game was for the Patriots, Josh McDaniels specifically, make him comfortable. Make Jimmy Garoppolo start the game with a few completions. Not make him, but give him a couple easy throws. Set up the running game, even though that has more to do with the running backs and the offensive line. With everybody missing, I didn't think there was any way to win this game. I didn't think there was any way that Jimmy Garoppolo would ever feel comfortable in this game with pretty much no starting linemen. I mean, yeah, Thuney, maybe Andrews, I'd say, is the only definite starter. But no starters on the offensive line, really. No Gronk. It's just, offensively, there was no way I saw them getting comfortable. I laid out things that had to happen. Give him easy throws, a good running game, and that's exactly what happened. They came out the gate, and what's one thing, they said this in the broadcast, so I don't want to take credit for them. For them, they said, what's the one thing a quarterback has seen since he came in the league? I mean, since he started throwing a football when he's a kid. What's one thing in football that a quarterback always sees? Man-to-man coverage. So what did they do? They made him throw the ball to man-to-man coverage. No over-the-top help, no underneath help, all man-to-man. And Edelman man-to-man is very hard to guard. That's why you saw 3 straight catches to Edelman at one point in the first half. So I saw a lot in the first half. I saw a lot of great game planning by McDaniels and Belichick. They really made him feel comfortable. They put him in a place to succeed. And then in the second half, they kind of took the chain off. They took the leash off, and they let him really explore and be himself. And that's not something they didn't hinder him in the first half. They just helped him. They had the training wheels on. They did everything they could to make things easy for him. They didn't do anything crazy, trying to run, get points quick. Everything was dink and dunk until that, great play by Chris Hogan to blow the guy off the line for a 37-yard touchdown. But it wasn't until the second half where Jimmy G really got to be himself and had to make those hard throws and make those hard plays and escape pass rush. And that's one thing that I really, really liked from him. And we'll get into that a little later. But another guy that I loved was LeGarrette Blount. 22 carries, 70 yards, a touchdown, and a fumble. So the fumble is not great. We'll get into that later, of course. But when we talk about the bad things. But 22 for 70, look, that's 3.2 yards or so a carry. That's not good. he passed the eye test, and that's something that I'm a big statistic guy, but that's something that statistics don't tell you. They don't show you what your eyes show you. They show you only statistics, numbers. Numbers don't show you that LeGarrette Blount looked very, very quick. He had great ball carrier vision. His awareness on the field was great. He was shifty. He was LeGarrette Blount of 2 years ago and 3 years ago. And that is wonderful for the Patriots. We absolutely need that. We don't have that Dion Lewis who can run the ball. That's the one thing that I love James White in this game. I'm going to get to that later. That's one thing that James White isn't. He's a great guy, but great pass catching back, but he's not a runner. He can't do what Dion Lewis can do with the ball in his hands as a runner. Everyone looks back and they say, because it's been a while since we've seen Dion Lewis, they say, Dion Lewis, great pass catching back, no doubt, but he could run the ball very well out of the shotgun. The hurry-up offense with him out of the shotgun, he was very lethal, not just catching the ball, for sure. But Blount was huge. He came up real big. He passed the eye test, which was something that scared me because he wasn't right last year, even when he was on the field. Another guy, Julian Edelman, really big game. I really liked what I saw from him. Only 7 catches for 66 yards. I know that's not amazing, but he passed the eye test. The first 2 weeks that he played in the preseason, he didn't pass the eye test. He didn't look ready. He didn't look like Julian Edelman. He didn't look quick. He didn't look confident. And then he came out the gates on fire and just unstoppable. Chris Hogan, I liked that one play. That's really, he had 3 catches for 60 yards and touchdown. One of those catches was for 37 yards. So it was mostly on that play, but he looked real good. James White reminded me of Shane Vereen in the Super Bowl. Pass catching wise, because they could line him up anywhere and they'd really just on the ball. He only had 5 catches for 40 yards, which is a running back. That's not really only, that's pretty good. But one play stuck out, 2 plays stuck out in general to me. At the beginning, in the first half, there was one screen play for the Patriots to him that really opened up the game, really got the blood flowing and got, everybody settled in after that. It was a great play. But you expect that out of him. One thing I didn't expect out of him was it was in the fourth quarter. It was eventually the game-winning drive. It was 3rd and 3. They had James White lined up out far right. They had him run a little quick slant, 2 and in, and he had a corner, and I want to say it was either a safety or linebacker draped over him, double coverage. And we're going to get into the Jimmy Garoppolo side of the throw later, but that is not something a running back should be able to do. And he made that catch on 3rd and 3 where we needed 2 points to win the game. So it was huge, absolutely huge. I loved what I saw from him. It was great seeing Malcolm Mitchell. He had 2 catches for 33 yards. Anything from him is great after the injury, the grotesque injury he had. And then Martellus Bennett looked really good to me. And you're going to sit here and you're going to say, well, let's see. Martellus Bennett was a great tight end when he was for the Bears. So you expect to have a great tight end, certainly. Gronk's out. You expect to have a stud tight end this week. Cheap on FanDuel, oh my goodness. But you look at his stat line and you see 3 catches for 14 yards. And you're like, oh, what? Like, what the heck? He didn't have a good game. He sucked. But the Patriots, 22 carries for LeGarrette Blount. They came into this game saying, we're going to run, and let it open up the pass game. That's exactly what they did. And eventually, they just couldn't stop the pass, and that's what it became. But they were running the entire game at some point, for sure. 22 carries for a running back that isn't, Adrian Peterson is a lot of carries, for sure. But Martellus Bennett was a catalyst. Other than that offensive line, who performed amazing for what they were. We'll get to that later. But Martellus Bennett was one of the catalysts behind the great running game because they were running to his side a lot. And that's one thing that has been highly touted about him. Not just his pass-catching ability. He's not as explosive as a pass catcher as Gronk, but he's just as good, if not better, as a run blocker than Gronk. And that's one thing that they utilized to the max, his ability to block in the run. I mean, he was lined up against Chandler Jones, it seemed, all game, and it was great. It was great to see. So I'd say a good game from him, for sure. There were 3 sacks in the game for the Patriots: Jamie Collins, Chris Long, and Vince Valentine. It was good to see Vince Valentine in there. I didn't see a ton of, and this doesn't mean he didn't play, but I didn't see a lot of Malcolm Brown. He just wasn't that noticeable. He didn't have a great, there wasn't a lot going on. But anytime Vince Valentine, someone who plays the same position, gets a sack, and the other guy who's supposed to be the starter didn't get noticed that much, that's a good sign for Valentine, bad sign for Brown. But Brown will be okay, there's no problem. It was almost inevitable that Chris Long was going to get his sack. The way he was playing in the preseason, he's got a fire lit under him. He really wants to prove that he's still got it. He's not old, but he's, 32, 33, something like that. He's still got it, for sure. I mean, the way he was playing in the preseason, the fire, he just seems like a Patriot. He just does. Like, I could seriously see him finishing a career with New England, no doubt in my mind. And I believe that more than likely that will happen, barring any injuries. But Jamie Collins had a sack too. Two Patriots had 2 pass defenses. Malcolm Butler, you expect that. And then Coleman had 2, and that's he got beat a little bit, but then he also came back and gave them some too. He had a really big play in the Cardinals' final drive, which could have won them the game. He had an interception. He caught the ball on a one-on-one. It was just out of bounds. So no, he didn't have an interception, but that's a great play on the ball. So he looked way better than I thought. Like, I didn't see him making the team. Like, I really didn't. But he not only did he make the team, he got more reps than Cyrus Jones. So I think he so far has won that slot corner role over Cyrus Jones. So enough of the statistics. There are a couple things I want to go over for. I already went over Jimmy Garoppolo, but one thing stuck out in this game. One amazing thing, other than Jimmy Garoppolo's pocket presence and presence as a quarterback in general, in the statistics side of the game, excuse me, the game-winning drive. They had 3 third-down conversions on the game-winning drive. They ended up kicking a field goal to win, okay? 3 third-down conversions. First one, 3rd and 15, to Danny Amendola. Danny Amendola, off of surgery, had not played a single snap before this game, not in the preseason at all. And this play was Jimmy Garoppolo making a play. So, pressure, he stepped up in the pocket. This is 3rd and 15, with probably, I want to say, like 5 minutes left in the game, roughly. And he steps up in the pocket. He feels the pocket closing on him. He pump fakes. Nobody there. He feels it closing. He runs outside of the pocket. He pump faked originally to Amendola. He ushered him towards the middle of the field. And then he threw a dart 32 yards on 3rd and 15. Later, 3rd and 3, the James White catch that I talked about earlier. We already talked about the James White side, how clutch that was as a catch. That throw, 2 defenders, one on one side, one on the other. One playing outside, one playing inside. There was a one spot that they could put that ball. That Jimmy Garoppolo could put that ball, and he put it where it was, in that one spot, which is why it was a catch and a 3rd down conversion. That's 2 third down conversions on this drive. And then 3rd and 11, they did not throw the ball. They were barely in field goal range. Let's see. If they didn't get this, they were 30. It would have been a 32, 42, 43, 44. Okay, so it would have been like a 45 or 46, which is definitely in field goal range. So I get why they ran. They wanted to beat some clock off. But they ran the ball with a Garrett Blount on 3rd and 11. And he gets a 13-yard gain, and boom, there you go. And then eventually they end up kicking a game-winning field goal. Guys, 10 for 16 the Patriots were on 3rd down conversions without Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski. That is insane to think about. Just think about that. The most lethal 3rd down quarterback in NFL history. Most lethal by far. You can argue he might not be the best quarterback. You might be able to argue that. But you can't argue he's not the most lethal 3rd down quarterback. There's nobody that can pick apart a defense on 3rd down, better than Tom Brady in NFL history. And there is no bigger and harder freaking targets to defend, especially in short yardage situations, than Rob Gronkowski. And without them, both 10 for 15 or 10 for 16 on 3rd down conversions. Guys, that won them the game right there. And let's not even get into special teams. Special teams is wonderful. There's this new rule where a touchback goes to 25. So now these kickers are thinking, I don't want to boot it in the end zone. But hey, the Patriots have Gostkowski. He can kick the ball wherever he wants in the field. So he was pinning him in the corner just before the end zone. And they weren't getting the ball past the 15-yard line. Great special teams play. The Gunners, great play. It was just, that was a huge part of the game. Anytime that the defense can start a drive on, against the offense in within their 15-yard line, that's amazing. That's amazing. What are the odds they're going to score a touchdown? That's a long drive. That's a 10-yard difference in starting field position. So it's huge, no doubt. But that's something I really want to go over. And another thing, you look at this team. Everything went well. Okay, everything went well in this game, in my opinion. There's one thing, or two things technically, but one thing that stood out to me. And that's the turnovers. That's something the Patriots don't do. I remember a couple years ago, they turned the ball over like 5 times all season. It was something stupid like that. Not literally 5, like 10 maybe. It's just 2 turnovers, and I know there weren't picks, there were fumbles. In the second quarter, I believe it was a sack fumble. recovered by Chandler Jones, very funny, in the second quarter. And then what happened after that? We had a 10-0 lead right there, guys. It was almost 4 minutes left in the second quarter. We had a 10-0 lead. They probably recovered the fumble around 7 minutes left in the quarter. And then Larry Fitzgerald catches a touchdown off of that turnover, making it 10-7. That's huge going into halftime, 10-7. And then what happens again? The Patriots are up 2 possessions, guys. Patriots are up 17-7, and like Garrett Blount fumbles with probably like roughly 6 or 7 minutes left in the third quarter. They're up 10 points, and what happens on the next possession that the Cardinals got because of a turnover? They score a touchdown. Okay, that's 14 points off of 2 turnovers. If those 2 turnovers don't happen, maybe this game isn't even close. Those 2 turnovers resulted in 14 points. That is not good. That is a no-no for sure. And another thing that I really want to bring in, and I'm trying to find some bad things, and that isn't hard to find. That's not good at all. And I'm trying to find some things to point out and, as a slap on the wrist. But one thing that did stick out and kind of disturbed me was, obviously Larry Fitzgerald went off and they could not stop him at all. But that happens. Those best wide receivers in the league, they're gonna have those games where they're just on and they're catching everything. I swear the man had like 3 dive catches. So I'm not gonna put much blame on anyone for that. You can't game plan against Larry Fitzgerald when Larry Fitzgerald is on his game. But one thing I can do is on the last drive, the Patriots had the Cardinals were in field goal range, barely. They're on like the 49-yard line, something like that. And they try to run the ball. And it's first and 10 on like the 35, okay? And they get a penalty, 10 yards back. 5 yards back. 5 yards back. First and 15. And then they run the ball. And we tackle David Johnson behind the line. It's like second and 18. And then they throw a fake screen to the other side, and that got tackled behind the line. Third and like 22. And what happens? You have them out of field goal range where they need a field goal to win the game. Time is ticking off the clock. And what happens? You let them get, 20 yards on third and like 21? They get all the way down to 1 yard within the first yard line. Puts them well into field goal range. We're looking at this right now, and we're not really making much of this specific play where they allowed a 3rd and 20 to be 4th and 1, something like that. We're not looking at it like that because we won the game and they missed the field goal. But imagine if Anthony Costanzo, makes that field goal. We're sitting here right now, and we are flaming this team for doing so well, and then on 3rd and like 20, you let up a 19 or 20 yard pass catch, brings them within field goal range by a mile. That is absurd and can't happen under any circumstances, no matter who you are or who you are playing. Especially if the New England Patriots, that cannot happen. Especially at this point in the game, that cannot happen. So I am a little upset about that. That's disturbing for sure. At the end of the game, defense gave up that much of a blow. But all in all, defense played well. The pass defense wasn't stout. The defense in general in the first half was pretty much lightning. They were killing it, man. A 3-and-out first drive, and then the second drive they had one nice catch over Malcolm Butler for like 30 yards, and then 3-and-out right after that on that same drive. So the second half, the defense they couldn't really hold. They just couldn't figure out what to do with Larry Fitzgerald and David Johnson. David Johnson didn't end up with a great stat line running the ball, but he passed the eye test. And if you take away any of his carries really in the first half, I'd say he looked pretty damn good. His stats would be pretty damn good in the second half. So yeah, those two guys really tore up in the second half of the game for sure. But one thing I want to get to, and it's a non-statistical thing, so screw those. One thing I want to get to that I think is very important is there are games in every season for a team that define the season. Okay, there are games that define the season, and the season we won the Super Bowl, New England Patriots won the Super Bowl. No, not the first time, not the second time, not the third time, the 4th time. I know. Got all them rings, it's hard to figure out which one. But when we won the Super Bowl against the Seahawks that season, 2013, I think it was, great season. We had that defense, we had Revis, we had Browner, we had McCourty, Chung, they were all killing it back there. Just nobody wanted to F with us, man. We were great. But the defense didn't have to do much throughout the season, really. When you think about it, the offense was just so good. The offense was winning games for us. Not because the defense couldn't, but the offense just was. The offense was plain and simply winning games for us. But there's a game in San Diego, in Phillip Rivers' home, and the offense just wasn't clicking. They just plain and simply weren't clicking. And that was the game that Browner took off that guy's head. And it was a clean hit. I know I said took off that guy's head, but it was a clean hit, in my opinion. And McCourty actually returned it for a touchdown, but they flagged him and it came back. But that game, the defense had to carry the offense. And Brady said after the game in the post-game interview, you could just see the look on his face. Like, you expected him to be upset because of how poorly the offense played. But he was ecstatic. Like, he was like, wow, we just realized this defense can win us games. Like, they have the players to do it, but they haven't had to. They got in a situation that year in that game where the defense had to win them a game. And what happened in the Super Bowl? Arguably, the offense won the game, but a defensive play won the damn game. Okay? So there are milestone games where a team looks back and they say, that game was a turning point. That game was this. That game was, the blah, 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 like just something big. The Chiefs game where we got smacked by the Chiefs, like 40-14. Everyone was screaming for Brady to get benched because he had 1.4 seconds to get rid of the ball in the pocket. That's what I believe my point is, that's what I believe this game really is. I know we're only one game into the season. I understand that. But if you look at the odds that were stacked against this team, you look at every single thing. I don't know how the odds are ever stacked against the Patriots. The lack of offensive line. The lack of Gronk. Not having Ninkovich, one of the leaders on defense. Not having Tom flipping Brady. They shouldn't have won this game. And I know I'm repeating myself at this point. But I watched all the post-game interviews of every player on that team. And all of them said, they all had one thing in common. They were just like, it was us against the world. It was us against the world. And they went in with that mentality. You know what? They don't want us to win. This world does not want us to win. New England wants us to win. Nobody else is rooting for the Patriots right now. They are happy that Tom Brady's out. They saw that Gronk's out, and they're like, oh, cool, he's not on my fantasy team. I don't even like the Patriots. Good. I don't want him to win. It was us against the world, and they went out and they stuck it to them. They played New England football, which is, New England football, if you don't know, is perfect football. No, they didn't play perfect football, but they had an all-around great game, and I think they're going to look back, and they're going to say, week one, when everybody was against us, and everybody was clueless and wondering, what if? What if the Patriots are not, what if this is it? What if this is it for New England? These injuries, Tom Brady, what if this is just the year? And not only that, but just not only the fact that people are wondering, like, is this it? But the fact that someone was not expecting a lot out of this team, and that's usually a relief for players. Like, man, they're not expecting a lot from us. But they took that as a challenge, guys. They want the high expectations. They want it. They say they don't expect us to win. Vegas has us at a 9.5 point underdog. Well, we're the New England fully being Patriots. That ain't okay. And this is a game where I feel like no matter how the season ends, they're gonna look back and say it was a good season, because it more than likely will be. And they're gonna say game one in Arizona, that was the game. Really, that was a game that just clicked. That was the game where we realized our potential as a team, as a whole, on all sides of the ball, on all facets of the game. And that's something I really wanted to get across before I let you guys go. But I really do. I think this is, and not even to get into Jimmy Garoppolo, I think he's got the potential to be a special player. Tom Brady's not done. Tom Brady's going to get his job back. If Tom Brady played last night, they probably blew him out, or 2 nights ago. They probably didn't. It wasn't even close. No way. There's no way Tom Brady ever gives that ball back in any of the circumstances. There's no way Tom Brady's going to fumble the ball. There's no way any of that. Tom Brady might not make the play where he pump fake, steps up in the pocket, rolled out, and threw it to Amendola for 32 yards. That might not happen. I'll give you that. But I don't think it's a close game if Tom Brady plays. But that is nothing. That's not bad on Jimmy Garoppolo. That's just what Tom Brady is. Tom Brady's going to come back. He's going to get his starting job. And the New England Patriots are not trading Jimmy Garoppolo. How many teams can say, and this is just theoretical, this is just me looking forward. How many teams in NFL history can say that they had a great quarterback and that quarterback got injured, and then a better quarterback came from that injury, that down moment in the franchise, that moment where everyone's head's in the mud and they're just crying themselves to sleep? How many teams can say that a good quarterback came from something like that? A good amount, okay? Yeah, a good amount. I won't lie. I'm sure every team at some point has had something similar to that. Maybe not to the level of Tom Brady. Nobody has that. But every team has had a moment like that. But how many teams can say that they had a good quarterback go down and have the best ever quarterback come up? That's amazing. And then when the best ever quarterback retires, there's no gap years. That's the thing. Every team goes through gap years, guys, where they lose their quarterback, they lose this, they lose that, and they have to kind of rebuild in a sense. They have to accept that they're not going to win. This New England Patriots defense, guys, is set up for the future. This isn't a win-now defense. This isn't a win-now offense other than Tom Brady. This team, like, you look at this New England team, guys, they're set up for the future. They're just good now. That's just, that goes back to Bill Belichick. But with that being said, Tom Brady, Jimmy Garoppolo in a center, they're not a Super Bowl team. They are a good, if not great team. But when Tom Brady's done, not only did they go from Bledsoe to another good, obviously the best quarterback of all time or one of, but then when he retires, they have no gap year, no 3 years of suckage. They have another quarterback to keep, another young quarterback to bring him to another level like that. It's the Patriots are in rare territory right now, and we hope that Jimmy Garoppolo is what he looks like, and that is a franchise quarterback, guys. I'm 100% serious. Jimmy Garoppolo looks like a franchise quarterback. So what I want you to take from this video, other than everything I said about the actual game, is the potential the Patriots had a star quarterback get injured and a great quarterback come from it. It doesn't matter the caliber of the quarterback, but a quarterback that is good enough to play. New England has that. A lot of teams do. But then when that quarterback that wins you Super Bowls gets injured, there's no gap year again, just like there was between Bledsoe and Brady. You have another quarterback that can keep you guys afloat in championship contender. You look at last year, the Broncos, they didn't have a great quarterback, and they won the Super Bowl. It's about that defense. This New England Patriots defense is set to win for the future. When Tom Brady retires in 2 years or so, Jimmy Garoppolo may very well be the guy that keeps us from those gap years. And that's something I want you guys to take. Definitely. Have a great day, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video.